And welcome to the Arterburn radio transmission. I'm your host, Tony Arterburn, broadcasting in studio with Layla the Labrador. It's April 9th, 2020, here at the Wise Wolf goldandsilver.com Command Center headquarters. We are socially distancing from our own liberty and our constitutional rights at this point. We are socially distancing for now, but we are essential. Essential because I have to put food on the table and buy groceries and pay my rent here at the Wise Wolf Gold and Silver headquarters. So getting through this dystopic 1984, COVID 1984 situation, I was thinking about the movie Independence Day. And if you recall the scene where they've captured the craft at Roswell, and they keep it under this bunker at Area 51, and they've been studying it for many, many years, and they never could figure out how anything works. But when the mothership starts to approach Earth, all the little gizmos and lights come on, and they're very fascinated by that. Well, in a weird way, it's doing the same thing to me with the approach of the New World Order, except that's not my mothership. It's just that I know this absolute tyranny, the greatest battle of all time, is upon us. This is history that you're living through. We have choices to make, and count me in on the voices that say, I don't want your chip. I don't want your vaccine. I don't want your scanned privilege to be able to function, to be able to buy and sell. I'm not going to take your protocol. I'm not going to take your forced inoculation. I don't want your poison. Count me in as someone who's going to rebel against that. Life is not so precious to me on a personal level that I will live under tyranny. You're not going to push me into the cashless society and scare me. We're already talking about the flattening of the curve, and this is because social distancing. Or could it be the fact that the sun is out, that we're cycling into the springtime, that Bob, the big orange ball, is shining down, that vitamin D is, regardless of the fact that they told you to go get in the dark and be a mushroom, but the vitamin D is doing its magic. That's why it's called the God vitamin. You sanitize things in the sun. Could that be? How many people have actually done the math on the virus? I believe the virus is real. I believe it's deadly. It's a terrible thing that's affecting thousands of people. But how many people have done the math? Do you know how many folks, poor individuals, people are going to succumb to suicide because of this depression that we're creating? Do you even fathom that number? Millions during the Great Depression died from hunger. Think about all those folks worldwide, not just first world nations. There's something larger at play here. I don't know what it is. But I do know that the real virus in this country is not COVID-19. No, it's a virus that's laid dormant and played with the immune system of the American Republic, and it has caused great harm, and it may eventually kill the entire American experiment. And that is the virus of globalism, the virus of international mega banking cartels, multinational corporations, infiltrating every aspect of our American character in our life. This is history. So as this final showdown approaches, and it is going to be a showdown, because you're going to wake up one day and say, wait a minute, I can't do this or that. I've got to get this poison injected into me. And you'll have people very, very concerned that you're just off the deep end. Just get your shot, get your scan. It's going to be right here on your arm. You're going to need that to buy and sell. Just do that for us. You'll be shamed. It's already starting to happen. Look how fast we adapt to the poison. Looking at people, pointing at them. Look, they're at the park. There's more than 3 of them. I see these stories all day long on my news feed. So this is the time when you start waking up. Have you had enough yet? Have you decided that, I'm not going to go gentle into the good night. I'm not going to live under the yoke of tyranny. I've decided. That's what this program is for. This show is for survivors. If you're convinced that we live in a left-right paradigm, and if the Democrats only win or the Republicans only win, I can't help you. You're not seeing the big picture. And I frankly don't have the time. No, this is to talk about solutions and things that we can do as people that are already aware. Doesn't mean that we know everything. I don't know what happened. I read a story yesterday that's already being refuted by the Pentagon about ABC breaking the story that Intel had warned the executive branch and others in defense in November of last year about the pandemic, about the changes in the Wuhan lifestyle and all the rest, and they'd received transmissions, intercepted things, just what intelligence does. But see, intelligence, if you know your history, it works in conjunction with big corporations and banking. That's what you don't get yet. It's what I still have to remind myself, that the one-dimensional system that we've been accustomed to understanding how it works, whether you're talking about elections or systems, is not what it seems. The people out front are puppets. And it's why you see the big corporations dumping their CEOs, getting the golden parachutes. This was a plandemic, not a pandemic. This is on purpose. Something that's for reasons yet unfolding. I don't have the reasons yet. I don't have the particulars. I'm not God Almighty. All I know is that I follow my gut level instincts, and there's a reason why I moved out of a major city. I felt that gut level in September of 2019. I made a conscious decision to do that. I financially hurt myself doing that and put myself through amazing stress to pull that off, because I just feared that what was going to appear in 2020 was going to be something that I needed to distance myself from as the type of person that I am. So I followed my instinct, and it led me to here right before all of this kicked off. And we're still recovering, because now, even though I'm open, I have a new business, I'm told this is the world's turned off for a while. Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, says that we may be open for business in May. Well, you think so? Okay. Well, if you're not open in like the next hour, you're going to start seeing more and more repercussions from this impending depression. You got to open up now. We need all hands on deck. We need Americans to get involved. This is insane what they're doing. Of course, big business pushing for this to stay closed. What will happen when these lawyers, these scumbags, start suing companies for COVID-19 exposure of their retail workers, and we start seeing a shutdown of the supply chain? Because we told small business to go home. What happens then? This country, for a long time, made some terrible decisions. Our culture, absolutely toxic. We know this. People are still going to try to revert to the old ways. And the old ways, like, hey, something happens, sue them. You know, gets a team of attorneys behind you and sue them. And then, of course, that can cause a business to shut down. What happens now? These are some things to watch. You know, when Catherine Austin Fitts says plant, 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 talking about the food supply, I would listen to her. I'm trying to. I'm not the best farmer in the world. Got some tomatoes growing, got some, or at least they're planted. I can see the progress being made. I think my wife's got some potatoes, and peppers are easy. Got that going on. Melissa's working at the farm. I say the farm. It's where my cabins are. Yeah, this show is for survivors. We've got some articles to go over today. I wanted to tip you off yesterday with that story that leaked, and it came out about the intelligence community calling this way back in November. There's something there. There's something to that story, something to watch, because more will come of it. Today, News Wars reported through Breitbart that the Pentagon's saying they didn't have that information. Yeah, and it's a bitter pill to swallow when you realize that the Pentagon and the defense apparatus doesn't really care about your defense. It's more of a game. It's more of a strategic game. It has nothing really to do with American security. You know how I know that? Because we don't have a border. And because generals aren't advocating a border. And when they're asked to do that, they don't like it. And when the Defense Department is asked to build a wall, they ask when they can go do traditional things, get back to their usual work. Well, what other work do you have besides securing America? Oh, I forgot. It's empire. Very uncomfortable pill to swallow, especially for veterans. Because we love our country. I sure do. I love what she stands for. We got some work to do. I was corresponding with a very brilliant man who will go unnamed. Someone who's a great thinker and a friend of mine. I'm privileged to have him as a correspondent. But you're talking about God's judgment. You can get spiritual on what's happening right now. And I'm not the best source for that. I'm not the best authority on spiritual matters. But when you abort an entire generation of Americans, when you allow the government that you live under to willy-nilly go across the globe and displace people and bomb and invade and do all sorts of other underhanded things. You know, when you're talking about entire displacement populations like in Iraq, like arming Al-Qaeda in Syria or ISIS, or creating ISIS, or leading from behind in Libya because Gaddafi wanted his own currency backed by gold. Hillary Clinton saying, we came, we saw, he died. Just bloodthirsty. At a certain level, when you don't respect life at all, and you have this grotesque Leviathan that runs your life, at some level, you have to ask yourself, is this form of America worth saving? You know, when you talk about people going and fighting for your freedom, right? But you're not free. So what are they fighting for? Do you ask yourself that question? I ask myself that a lot because I love America. I love my family. I want them to be safe, but all the threats are coming from within. And make no mistake about it, there's something else being rolled out here. I want you to watch this. This is just food for thought. If you notice, your timeline has been inundated and will start to be inundated more and more with anti-Chinese posts. When you see, yeah, and I know a portion of them cook and eat dogs and the rest. I mean, I've seen some horrible things because, as you know, I love my dogs. They're spiritual to me. They're spiritual beings. It's horrible to watch what they do to animals, especially some of those wet markets, where they eat, turtles alive and bats and all the rest. They do eat those things. But you'll start seeing more and more of this. China did it. I start seeing threads on social media of the people that you see the neocons start talking about it. There's something to that story too. So we talk about in this thread of consciousness, this stream, I start asking myself, if we're being prepped for a war with the Chinese, with the communist Chinese, if we're being conditioned for a conflict, who set that up? Because the Chinese have nothing to benefit. There's no benefit to the Chinese going in a full-scale war with the United States. Everybody loses. Haven't you seen the movie War Games? The only way to win is not to play. I mean, Mao got nuclear weapons in 1964. What's new here? There's something else. And I don't have the answers. I just know gut level, same thing that I'm telling you about this last year, 6 months of my life. There's a next level here. You've reached it. We just don't know the big picture yet. I read an article yesterday about having your worldview obliterated. Yes, and be prepared for that. I mean, the motto of the Army is adapt and overcome, but the next big rollout, what always follows an economic collapse, is war. And part of the transmission, part of the goal here on this program is to stop that war because it will be on false pretenses. Make no mistake about it. This is a plandemic, not a pandemic. There's something else here. Look for yourself. Think for yourself. Don't even listen to me. I have no answers other than I have questions, which sometimes are the answers to get to a better mode of thinking. Keep asking, what's going on here? Question everything. What is the underlying financial collapse? What does that have to do with COVID-19? Well, I'll have a guest on tomorrow. We were supposed to talk today. Friend of the show, Gary D. Barnett, put out an article. It's hot off the press. It just came out, and I just spoke with Gary. And we'll talk about this tomorrow as well. The coronavirus worm has turned. It is now time to face the truth. And Gary thinks on a lot of the lines that I do that this is a planned event, that these are sinister forces that set this in motion. If you want to go back, and obviously you're probably not even watching this program or listening to this show, if you believe somebody sat down and had a bat sandwich with cheese and the world turned off and governments are cracking down worldwide and we live in a dystopia, then I'm sorry that you feel that life is that. You have to cling to your accidental chaos theory that much. That's not how history works. But this article up on LouRockwell.com is talking about the massive amount of money that was pumped into the markets just before this kicked off, and they could not sustain it, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a sustainable amount of money. The bubble was the largest bubble of all time. It dwarfs everything we've ever done in the past. Trillions are nothing in this. I mean, they just throw it out like it's real money or something. Trillions. And they keep inflating it. Someone said from Goldman Sachs, I read about 2 weeks ago, that they didn't think that this particular slowdown was like 2008. They thought it felt more like 9/11. Interesting. I kind of think the same way too, other than the fact that this is terrorism, right? And it's not like the setback of 9/11. It's a new 9/11. Event 201 is event 2001. The Bill Gates scenario, the whole rundown that they did. This is something, this is a new pivot point, an inflection point. And they're going to roll out all sorts of new population control measures, tracking. If we sit back and watch them do it, be aware this is what's being talked about. I mean, the World Health Organization talked about going and removing people from families, finding the one that has the COVID and extracting them. No, you will die. Do you ever stop to think about the cosmic joke of why you have an organization called the UN? Remember the movie Idiocracy? It was the UN, the UN, because it's un-American, because it's unconstitutional. And then you also have the UN has the WHO. Think about that. The World Health Organization is the WHO. The WHO and the UN. Shadowy things. Who are they? Well, they're unrecognizable. They shall not be named. Yeah. And I'm sorry, clinging to the hope of the parties to save you. You know, there's been a bill in Congress. This is one of the reasons I left the Republican Party. There's a bill in Congress. It's called the American Sovereignty Restoration Act. It's been there for many years. I believe Mike Rogers from Georgia put it up, maybe Alabama. And it's a bill to get us out of the UN. Okay, this is a very simple thing. I mean, supposedly, if you're conservative, you would want to not have a supranational governing body influencing your internal elections, your internal sovereignty, taking things like the Alamo and making them a national, international landmark, some sort of under the sway of and maintenance and oversight of the UN. So you would think that this would be conservative, just conservative. 3 co-sponsors. 3. So why are these people useful again? Nobody touches it. Nobody touches these hobby horses and projects for globalism because it's a false paradigm. You have to go to the source, the head of the snake. And right now, you're watching them use COVID-19 as a cover for their financial gluttony, for their overreach, for their arrogance, their hubris. And that's where we're headed, is a setback, a depression, because they caused it, just like the Fed, The Federal Reserve caused the last depression, 1929. They caused the last crash. I mean, Ben Bernanke admitted that. He knows his history, but they keep doing what they do because it's advantageous for them to continue to devalue and fund things and extract all the wealth, extract all of the resources, and devalue your dollar and all your hard work while you sleep. This is the Arterburn radio transmission. We'll be right back after the break.
Amazon by Christine. Great art publication. Diane, before I started using this product, every afternoon my ankles and my hands would be swollen. That doesn't happen anymore. So if that part of their advertising is true, I have to assume that the rest of it is also. Not to mention that when I had my yearly blood test, only a few weeks after beginning to use this product, my cholesterol had dropped over 30 points. I'm going to continue to take it. By Crop. I love this product. It really works. By Brad. Works great. Thank you. Tell us your story. Get your Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. Extend your life with Extendivite.
So, you love talk radio, then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
If you have hard water, the LimeScale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate LimeScale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
For millennia, mankind has been searching for answers to the big questions, such as, where did the universe come from? Where did we come from? Why are we here? Are we alone? And just what the heck is the Sasquatch all about? I can't promise you answers, and neither can the Woo Crew, but they invite you to join them Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, midnight in the UK, for Freaky Friday, exclusively on Truth Frequency Radio. Spirituality, duality for multiverse, quantum mechanics, the occult, and so much conspiracy analysis that it will make your mind melt. Take my word for it. Freaky Friday. It's more than a show. It's a way of life. I am Stephen Hawking, and I am proud to be a Wookiee.
No hate, no hype, no fear. We are EFR, your protection from deception.
I am not a conspiracy theorist. I am a conspiracy analyst. Gore the dog. This is the Arterburn Radio Transmission.
Welcome back. It's the Arterburn radio transmission. It's April 9th, 2020. In studio with Layla the Labrador. Text line is open, 888-667-1836. Broadcasting on Truth Frequency Radio. as well as 9:30 a.m. The Answer San Antonio on my podcast. All these social media channels are fun because they will soon be gone. I saved them. I saved them for the apocalypse, ladies and gentlemen. I knew this was coming. In some form or fashion, I couldn't quite tell you what was coming, but something strange, something that we've not really ever seen before. And they're probing the perimeter. They're seeing what they can get away with. I know you see the same thing. So what will happen when they roll back and tell you it's okay now to come outside where you should have been all along, and in a limited fashion, keep social distancing. Don't get together and congregate. Don't you go to church. Don't you do that. Don't you meet other like-minded people. Don't you assemble. You just get back, keep social distancing, but it's okay to venture out. We're open for business now, right? Well, now they know. This has been a test. This has been a test of the New World Order totalitarian crackdown system. This is only a test. See, that's the thing. There really isn't anything that's for certain in this new reality, other than there will be conflict. When I'm telling you to watch your news feed for the rollout of the new war, it's been planned. It's been decided on. I mean, the Marines right now are reorienting training for China. Can you imagine just how sick and disgusting our planners have to be to have fed the communist Chinese all of our resources and wealth, have fed them trillions and trillions and trillions in trade deficits, while you watch the American heartland die, why people are ODing on opioids because they can no longer support a family. Have you seen the Rust Belt? Do you know about the people in Appalachia? Have you seen the addiction? Well, that's what they did when they took away and they pawned America's soul. So they fed this Chinese monster. That's what the Trilateral Commission was all about. The timeline adds up. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'm just doing a forensic backtracking here. You know, we never ran a trade surplus again after 1973. What happened in 1973? That's the Trilateral Commission. We opened China in 72. 71, we created the petrodollar and we untethered ourselves from gold so they could what? So they can manipulate the dollar and buy things and pay for things and stretch this out. So now you've got this China who is basically, China's a mass graveyard. You know this, right? I mean, 100 million killed under communism between Mao and the Great Leap Forward, just massive amounts of death. Internal. And, you know, now they were given 90 days to the day after September 11th, 2001. They were given favored nation status, brought into the World Trade Organization. Under the Bush administration, we lost 1 in 3 manufacturing jobs, 55,000 factories gone. You see the pattern here? It was given away to set this up. Now, I'm not a fan of the Chinese. I think they have, because the way that they were set up, they're a operating system for large oligarchical, plutocratic capital. I know this because it's history, ties to the Rockefellers, ties to the Rothschilds. Set up in 1949, reaffirmed in 1973. All of America's policies diverted. So we needed some more wars after the Cold War ended, so we got to get this new enemy, Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is a construct of the Central Intelligence Agency. It means the database. They set it up in 1979. Tim Osman is Osama bin Laden. That was his CIA code name. He's part of the Central Intelligence Agency's operatives. They recruited them to fight the Soviets in Afghanistan. There's a much larger history. I'll get to it another time. What I'm telling you is all of these things that were done, these are long-term planners. America has been infected with a virus. The virus is globalism. It's control. When people ask me, what is the New World Order? The New World Order is oligarchs that infiltrate, twist, and pervert policy to create their own realities, to further enrich themselves. I mean, Mayor Rothschild says, I care not who makes the laws, but who controls the nation's money supply, and I control the British money supply. Well, he controls the American one too, because the Fed is a private organization. Look it up. The Federal Reserve is not federal. It's as federal as Federal Express. As a matter of fact, Federal Express is a public, I believe it's a publicly traded company. It's more transparent than the Fed. I mean, right now they're doing quantitative eternity, not quantitative easement. So you see the price of gold, by the way. I didn't do the gold prices yesterday. I felt bad. I'm sponsored by Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. I'm not even talking to you about the gold and silver prices. But right now, the gold prices responded. I'm glad I got some clients into gold like a week ago. I assume this is the turn. So if you're paying attention to the metals market, this is the turn. There was a huge sell-off after the greatest crash since 1929, which happened about 3 weeks ago. And it feels like 3 months ago. I don't know why I feel like I've been here for like 5 years. But gold's at 1,681 fiat dollars per troy ounce, 1,681. That's a bump of about $100 an ounce or more since last week. Silver, $15.33. Silver is still the most undervalued asset in the world. Hard to get it. If you call me right now, I can still put you in silver. It's going to be about 4 weeks, but I can at least lock in trades. Thank God I did that. I spent 2 years working on my relationships with the trading floors. I have 5-star rated. I can call in and lock in whatever I want. The issue is supply. But this is the new economy, ladies and gentlemen. The Federal Reserve, we've run out of room. So the choice here, this whole point, and what I've been trying to explain, is that the choice you're going to have to make is, do you want a one world currency? Do you want to get the mark of the beast? I don't care if you're religious or not. Do you want to get forced to take a vaccine that some billionaire psychopath has come up with when they made the virus? And they patented this is patents that are already in place before this came out. I mean, or you can go back and watch CNN and believe this is all from a bat sandwich. But see, the virus really isn't the end all be all thing. It's not the destroyer of worlds. What's behind that is the agendas. It's the agenda-driven policies. It's what's coming. And I can't tell you what it is because I don't know. I just know that when they're floating these trial balloons, I see trial balloons for war. I see trial balloons for forced vaccination. But see, we can stop that by just being aware, choosing not to follow their directives. I mean, the elites built this planet the way it is now. I mean, you and I, people that believed in the future, we thought, well, we'd have flying cars and space travel and we'd have these amazing breakthroughs. And here it is, 2020, and I'm 40 years old, and I'm still And the planet is a smoking, spinning disaster, to quote Dave Mustaine from Megadeth. It's a spinning disaster because the elites don't allow us to transcend. We're being held back, ladies and gentlemen. We're being stifled. The answer is not socialism. That's what the elites want you to take. They want you to take that bait. And the answer is not the other side either. It's the Constitution. It's our history. It's who we were before this virus of globalism infected us. That's the real pandemic. This is all over the world, globalism. Globalism is an operating system for oligarchs. It's not nicey nice people. It's not people that want one world and, hey, we're all citizens of the world, man. It's none of that. It's oligarchs. You know, I'm sitting here in my studio with, if you're watching me on the live stream, I've got right behind me is Layla the Labrador. And I got worried about her yesterday because she wouldn't eat her food. And I'm thinking, are you, don't do this to me. You need to eat. Well, it turns out she just didn't like the flavor of the food because I stopped and I got her. Should we tell them what we got you, Layla? I got her some hamburger meat, a cheeseburger. She just ate that up. A turkey dog. She's hungry. And I got some medicine in her. And I said, would you please come do a show with me? And I've been trying to update the audience on Layla, and she's weathering the storm pretty good. Maybe we'll take her. This is taxing on your soul to talk about. So I'm sitting here having some hot tea, or at least it was hot, with some Ozark Mountain honey. I put some black seed oil in. It's a great combo. I'm trying to keep my immune system up, trying to not always focus on. But this is what this program, I built it for. I built the whole network to talk about big ideas. We're not a level one political show. I could have done that. I had the opportunity. I would have been much larger, all the rest. But see, that is boring. And plus, I wouldn't get to talk about all the great stuff and all the history we get to cover. Just think about that for a minute. When you look at how this country was set up and then what we're doing now. Just look at the last 107 years. Since we got a Federal Reserve, since we got the income tax, you were given a number. The income tax set up by the mega rich so they could punish, so they could restrict competition. But that's 1913. We get brought into the First World War. It's where you get the Balfour Declaration. Lord Rothschild promises to bring America into the war in exchange for the British recognizing Palestine as a homeland for the Jewish people. This is history. Look it up. It certainly wasn't the Lusitania. That was in 1915. America didn't enter the war until 1917. History is not organic. So you were given a number, then World War II, then you get the bones, you get the skeleton of the world government known as the UN. First head of the UN was Alger Hiss, later convicted of perjury, but perjury because he lied about being a Soviet spy. This is planned. It takes a long time. You look at the Council on Foreign Relations. You look at the influence the internationalists have had on our government. That's why our defense apparatus doesn't even worry about our southern border. People could just waltz over it. I mean, if Iran wanted to invade the United States, just walk across. They have a religious inflection and revulsion to having American sovereignty at the highest levels, because that's the only thing that would secure us and make us safe. So that's a choice you got to make. All the big wigs right now, Kissinger, Gorbachev, Soros, Gates, all calling for world government to solve COVID-19. Are they going to get their way? Are we going to be scared into, I'm not going to be a part of their system. Are we going to be lulled into complacency here? Just give me my check. Just give me a taste of freedom. Just let me have my banking. No. These are things to watch. I'm talking about trends. Tomorrow I want to have Gary Barnett on. His article was just too good to disseminate today by myself, because he's just like me. The scene from Independence Day, you get all the little gizmos start turning on. That's my brain now. All the little gizmos, all the little I'm remembering things that I had forgotten years ago. And it's a lot of fun, but terrifying. That's why I brought my channels out, and I said, I'm going to broadcast my radio show. I'm losing friends left and right, too, on social media. It's a lot of fun, because they can't handle what I'm saying. They don't like what I'm saying. Why don't you talk about this? You said something about this particular party, or I don't like that you said it this way, or that's hate. I have no hate. I mean, I guess I hate our ruling elite, but I think we get caught up in being divide and conquer. They're setting up new enemies for us, and that's something you need to be aware of. I mean, once you've broken free, and I don't think I'm even there yet, because I've still got years of conditioning, but once you've broken free of their narratives, I mean, you can't ever go back. It's impossible. It's like Plato's cave, the allegory of the cave. 3 men tied to a log in the dark, and then they start having competitions about who can best read the shadows, and that's how they value their worth, about who can see the shadows the best. Then one of them's taken out and shown the world, the greater world, in the sunlight, and their eyes readjust, and they can't believe how big and vast the world is. They take the man back in, tie him back to the log, and the other slaves don't even recognize him as being relevant anymore, because he's crazy and he can't see the shadows as well, the things that don't matter. Yeah, this is learning the history that they don't teach you in school is the sunlight. But then that also makes you an outcast. But that won't always be the case. I think a lot of people on a gut level know that we're entering into a new phase of history. And there's going to be a choice to make. It's what this program is designed to do, to talk to you about those ideas. What other radio program is talking about the Council on Foreign Relations? Why was that set up? Why is the CFR in place? Why are all these celebrities part of it? Why is it so much of the British apparatus infecting us, the ruling class, the banking class? How did that happen? I thought we kicked them out. No. They came back with a vengeance. And it's slow, and it's methodical, and it's very well planned. It's taken generations of their ruling elite because America was a strong nation. Vast resources, the fighting spirit. Yeah, we had our sins, but it was a magnificent place. Could never be beaten militarily. It had to be destroyed from within. That's what cultural Marxism is. That's what internationalism has done. You get these approved leaders. They set up the straw man, give you a false reality, a false enemy to fight, and then you never win, do you? It's like right now you have a major home invasion going on, but you're outside arguing with your neighbor over the placement of the trash cans, over who parked nearest to the parking spot, and your house is being looted. Then you find out later that your neighbor's just a paid actor. That's politics today. You're arguing with someone that doesn't matter, that's meant to distract you while you're being robbed. And by being robbed, I mean being stripped of your liberty, your human dignity, your future, which is everything. Do you get it? I mean, what would make someone want to submit to this current system and then say, I want your vaccine, Mr. Gates, even though, and by the way, here's a great question before I leave you. Something to ponder. Why do the children of those who were most pro Planned Parenthood, and I'm talking about the Bushes, Prescott Bush was on the masthead, the first fundraising letter for Planned Parenthood, because it's eugenicists. They want less people. Don't like people of color either. They want a lot less of those people. So they have people like Margaret Sanger who go around and promote Planned Parenthood. Got to get those abortion clinics and turn those things out. So they don't like certain classes of people, and they don't like large population. So you get the Bushes, but you also get the Gates. And isn't it funny, these people who don't like people, they don't like children, they're eugenicists. Don't they produce the worst? Their children are, lucky, I guess they even got born in the first place, but they produce the worst. They're eugenicists. Don't you wonder why the Bilderberg meetings never have any minutes or recordings? Do you ever wonder what they talk about, the world's elite? They don't want you to know. Don't you think that they should be out front talking about how to better society? They have the wealth and the influence and the power. Why are they meeting behind closed doors? Why does every year your freedom dissipate? You ever wondered that? More uncertainty on the horizon, more war. Doesn't have to be that way. But I agree with the assessment of Goldman Sachs. This feels more like 9/11, but they were saying in a financial way. I'm saying this is a controlled demolition of our economy, kind of like Building 7. This is a controlled demolition of our freedoms. The virus is real. It affects people. Our healthcare workers on the front lines need all the help they can get. We need all hands on deck, and we need an economy for them to come home to. They have loved ones too. They have people that need to be a part of a system where they can make money and put food on the table. It's amazing what we're doing. Our elites have no idea. They've never had to make payroll. They've never had to struggle. They make money no matter what. It's kind of like the news media, the professional news media. What do they care? Keep selling the fear. Paycheck's always there. War, famine, upheaval, pestilence, the 4 horses of the apocalypse. Doesn't matter. Paycheck's coming in. Because you're part of the depopulation network. You're part of CNN. You're part of MSNBC. Oh, it's all coming very clear. And my little gizmos and all my little bells and my things that are popping back in my head. I'm like, I haven't even talked about the CFR lately. I haven't even talked about the fact that the UN, the building there, donated by the Rockefellers. By the way, the World Trade Center was too, both towers 1 and 2, the David and the Nelson. But the building there where the UN is located was built on top of a slaughterhouse. You know, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. Stay frosty out there, my friends. We'll be back tomorrow, all new transmission. Wisewolf.gold, arterburn.news. Welcome to tomorrow, folks. End of transmission.